Not again. Yep, we're doing this again. And no, I'm not gonna have this thing in the background the whole time. Get out of here. So I thought the last video was kind of fun, so I'm gonna do it again. Here's my cube collection. Starting it off, here are two 1x1s. One of them is from Xena, and the other one, I don't even want to know what happened. I did not know I had this many 2x2s. Okay, so starting it off, these four, they're all Rubik's. They can go. This one is also Rubik's. I have no idea where I got this. And here are two 3D printed 2x2s built by me. One is a prototype, and one that's an actual 2x2. And then there's one with a missing corner, and I forgot the brand. Okay, now onto the actual 2x2s. Except this one. This is a mini Xena 2x2. Here's another two. Here are two MGC 2x2s. One has the Diane logo on it, which is kind of dying. This one was actually my main for a very long time. Gosh, I keep dropping them. Here's the MGC Elite 2x2, which has a broken corner. Not sure what the 2x2 is. I think it's a Yushin Black Kirin, but it's carbon fiber. Man, get these 2x2s. Just another example of how I don't know how to YouTube. Anyways, here's the YJ Pro version 2M. This is the, I think it's the Yushin Little Magic 2x2. I'm not sure how I got this. This is a Cyclone Boys 2x2, shiny. I think it's magnetic too, yeah. I forgot what this is. I think this is the Diane Tengen because I lost that Diane Tengen sticker. And then this is the Diane Tengen Plus, I think. This is the Xena Star, which is self-explanatory. There are two 2x2s, which I'm not sure are my mains at the moment. This is the GM Pro Ball Core and the GAN 251M Pro. I don't care about 2x2 much to know. Okay, this is too much. These four right here are just regular Rubik's brands. These three are just some off-brand ones. I'm not even sure how I got these. Okay, finally some ones that are actually cool. This is the 50th anniversary Rubik's brand. This is the Rubik's Impossible, which I still haven't got around to solving. This one, I think, was my first Rubik's Cube. Again, not sure how I got. This is the Rubik's Squish. Still, not sure how I got. I don't even know what this is, but it's like a translucent Rubik's brand. And then the Rubik's Phantom, which I got for my birthday. This is probably one of the only ones I know I got. Or at least I know how I got. Anyways, that's the Rubik's brand. I swear, I feel like these cubes are just spawning in on my shelves. I feel like I don't have to go over these. I see that there's $10 store cubes here. The only one I'm going to go over is this one. My dad found this at a casino. It's pretty cool. And then the rest are just dollar store cubes. Yeah. Next! You cannot make this up. Okay, these four are all garbage. These are two smaller Rubik's 3x3s. Not sure how I have two of them. Here's the Shangshao keychain 3x3. And here's the YJ Pillowed keychain 3x3, which actually isn't a keychain, I just put the keychain on. It didn't come with a keychain, and I'm not sure why. Finally, for the actual 3x3s, I'm going to sort these by brand because I don't want to put them all on screen. I'll start with my two Diane 3x3s. This is the Diane Guhong V3, which was my one-handed main last year. Not sure how. This cube actually kind of sucks. And a much better 3x3. This is the Diane Zanshi V5 standard, I think. I think this is the standard. This is a gift from my girlfriend, so thank you. It's actually a very nice 3x3. Moving on. Here are my two Yushin 3x3s. This is the Yushin Little Magic, which actually was my main at some point. Not sure what cube came before that, but I don't know. It's a pretty good budget cube. And then this is the Black Kirin V1 as carbon fiber. I'm not even sure where I got this, but it's pretty cool. Moving on. Here are my two GAN 3x3s. This is the GAN 356X, which is actually my most expensive cube, coming in at $80. Not sure how, but sure. And then this is probably the most unknown cube. This is the GAN 356R. Not to be confused with the RS, because there's purple on it. Moving on. Here are my 3 ShengShou 3x3s. This is the ShengShou Wind, which is actually surprisingly okay. It's very smooth. Here's the Mr. M V2, another very unknown cube. And then this is the Luminous 3x3. It's the light. It's very hard to turn on. How did I get this first try at some point? There we go. It's actually a pretty cool light. And then you have to turn it off. Moving on. Here are all of my Mofeng Jiaoshi 3x3s. This is the, I forgot what it's called, but it's the Meilong with like pastel colors. This is actually my very first speed cube, which is the MF3. I also forgot to mention that that cube with the broken corner was my very first 2x2. So that's cool. This is the RS3 2020, which kind of sucks. This is the Meilong without the pastel colors. This is the magnetic Meilong, which is surprisingly good. This is the RS3 Super, I think. This was my lane last year, and the Angstrom logo is sadly gone. This is the RS3 V5 Ball Core. This isn't supposed to be here, but this is the MGC Elite. This is the RS3 2021 Maglev. And my current main is the RS3 Standard, which I find to be better than this, somehow. Anyways, I've kind of turned this into a Moyu sub-brands section, so here are the 2 other ones. This is the YJ Yulong V3, which I actually used in my last competition. Not a great experience. And here is my backup main, the WRM V10, with a CubeHead logo on it. Anyways, that's Moyu. Here are all my Chi 3x3s, starting with the, I forgot what it's called, but it's the big one. This, I'm not even sure is from Chi, but it's the most recent one I got. It's like the DNA one. I think that's what it's called. I don't care. This is the Mini Volk. This is the Chi M, or I also forgot the name of this one. I think this is the Chi Warrior M. Yeah, the Chi Warrior M. This is the Volk Elite. Not the greatest cube. This is the Chi Warrior W. Yeah. This is the Chi MS 3x3. This is the Chi Sail W, which I for some reason got in white. This is the Chi Thunderclap. And this is the X-Men Tornado version 3 flagship. Moving on! These are all the cubes from one cube in each group, or brand, I guess. This is the Z Transparent Blue 3x3, which kind of sucks. This is the Rubik's Speed, which I, for some reason, found at Target. This is the Monster Go Rainbow Cube. I think that's what they call it. Not even sure what this is. This is the Kung Fu Dot Cube. This was actually one of my very first cubes. I'm very glad to have it. And then this is the Fanshin Lego Cube. 4x4s are the only thing that haven't changed as to last year. This is the YJ Yusu, which is my very first 4x4. Still missing a piece. This is the Mofeng Jiaoshi 4x4. What a stutter. This is the YJ Guansu. Not sure how I got. This is the Meilong 4x4. This is the Mini Wuchui. And the only good 4x4, this is the MGC 4x4. I do not care about 4x4. Moving on to 5x5, this is the Mofeng Jiaoshi 5x5. Kinda sucks. This is the Qi Carbon Fiber 5x5. This is the YJ MGC 5x5, which has actually been my main since like 2020. I actually got this at Houston Winter 2020, which was my very first competition that I competed in. This is a very revolutionary 5x5. But I actually care about 5x5 enough to get the Outrun V6 single track. I really like this cube. Moving on, I'm not going to smack it, I'm only going to smack these. Moving on to 6 and up, this is the MGC 6x6. I think I also got this at Houston Winter 2020, but I don't care about 6x6, I don't even know. This is the YJ Yufu V2. I was going to get the Meilong last week, but I don't care about 7x7. This is the Meilong 8x8. Very, very small 8x8. I think it's actually bigger than the 7x7. No. They're the same size. Never mind. Here is the Yushin Little Magic 9x9. And here is the Meilong 11x11. And get this. The 9x9 is bigger than the 11x11. And these are too chunky to be able to smack out of frame. Moving on to Scubes. This is my first Scube, the Moyu Aoyan. I'm not sure how I got a 7 single with this. This is just a joke Scube. This is the Yushin Little Magic Scube. This is the RS Magnetic Scube. I have 2 GAN Scubes. This one actually got me finals at Texas Championships. I'm not even sure if this is mine because I did not do that. But I got another one, which is definitely better. This one's mine. Moving on, Scube is actually very interesting and the best event, so I'm not going to push it. Moving on to Megaminx. Here is my very first Megaminx, which I'm very proud to have. This is the X-Men Galaxy. Not sure which version. This was my main last year. This is the MGC Megaminx. And I've just now realized that this one is so much better. This is the YJ Yuhu version 2. Moving on to Pyraminxes. This was my first Pyraminx. Not sure what it is. This is a Meilong Pyraminx. This is the X-Men Bell version 1. And this is the Weilong Magnetic Pyraminx. I think. It's the good one. Moving on. Oh my gosh. I forgot to show you guys the Cube Head cube. This one was actually very hidden. I actually got this one for Christmas and it's very yeah. And to finish off WCA, here is the Yushin Little Magic Square 1, which I am still learning how to solve. And here, the best event, the clock. And I'm not exaggerating. Moving on to non-WCA. These are all the non-WCA puzzles that aren't really twisty puzzles, but I don't care. Here are 3 infinity cubes. One of them is actually 3D printed, which is very, very nice. Here's a snake puzzle. Not even sure how I got it into this shape. Here's a thing. Not sure how I got. This is the Rubik's Orbit, which is the weirdest puzzle I've ever seen. And the Rubik's 360 is even weirder. This is a something that you, yeah, basically. I don't know how to get it back into cube shape, so I don't want to mess it up. This I got for my birthday. Not entirely sure what it is, but it looks pretty cool. And this is, I think it's called the Yoshimoto cube, which is very cool. Moving on. The only sad part about this video is kind of just filming it, because these puzzles are actually all the way back behind my TV, which is probably the worst place to put Rubik's Cubes. But it's fine. Here are some more geometrical shaped non-WCA puzzles. Here is the Danshank Magnetic Killaminx. This is, I'm not sure what brand it is. I think it's Yushin. It's the Master Killaminx. I've solved it twice, and now my fingers hurt. This is the Lan 2x2 dodecahedron. Here's the Chi FTO. I haven't got around to solving. Here's the Danshank 2x2 FTO, which is actually one of my favorite Scube shape mods. Speaking of Scube shape mods not on the table, here's the, I think it's the Lee Fun. It's the Twisty Scube. Here's another dodecahedron. This is the Meilong Killaminx. Here's the Moyu Bead Pyraminx, which I think is just Pyraminx Duo. And this is the Yushin Black Kirin Pyromorphix. Huge. Here's another example of I don't know how to YouTube. I was putting the 3x3 shape mods over to my desk, then I realized I forgot to show this one. If you know, you know. I'm not going to spill it over again. Anyways, back to 3x3 shape mods. Here's the YJ Chianji 3x3. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but I don't care. Here are two ball cubes. One is from YJ, and one is another gift from my girlfriend. This one's actually better than this one. Here is the Pandora cube. Forgot what brand it was. Kind of sucks. Here's the Chi cylinder. Another Chi shape mod. This is the Masteromorphix. This is the Rubik's Void cube. A lot of these cubes I don't know how I got. Here are two Shangshao mirror cubes. One of them's broken and one is perfectly fine. Here's the YJ Windmill cube, another one of my very first cubes. Here's the Chi Fisher Cube S with tiles, which I find very cool. Here's the Chi Axis cube, which I got at Texas Championships. Another cube I got from Texas Championships. This is the YJ Blind cube. This is actually my favorite shape mod. I like solving on this. And lastly, this is the Chi Void cube. Very impressive cube. Moving on. This is too much to smack. Here are the rest of the shape mods. Here's a Xena 1x2x3 Christmas tree. Here's a Chi tiled fidget spinner. Not the greatest fidget spinner. It's a pretty cool puzzle though. The Yeet ball, which I'm not going to yeet. This is the cube style windmill 4x4. Definitely one of my favorite puzzles. I actually got this as a mystery cube, which is very cool. Love solving this thing. The Fanshin banana. I'm not going to say that it's appealing, because that's stupid. And last but not least, the cat. very cool. I was gonna go straight into cuboids, and then I realized how big that white sticker is. Moving on to cuboids, we have the Chi 3x3x2. Oh, cool. Here's the Chi 2x2x3. Another 2x2x3, except it's all green, yellow, and white. I'm not even sure how I got this. The Thing. The 1x1x2. Which has an interesting name. The Z 1x2x2. Yes. The Rubik's 1x3x3. And the Yisheng, I think, the 3x3x4, which I really like solving. Oh, I did the wrong algorithm. Also, here's another one I forgot to show with the non-twisty puzzles. I think that might be the keychain for the YJ Pillard one. Anyways, moving on to the last of the entire collection. Here is the Kung Fu Gear Cube. This is the Shengshou Mr. M Square Zero. This is the Moe Ready Cube. Actually, I don't think I've solved this in a very long time. This is the Chi Dino Cube. The Xena 2x2 Time Machine. Another one of my favorite shape mods. And last but not least, the X Cube. One of the only puzzles I have not even tried scrambling. And today's not that day. Anyways, that's the entire cube collection. Hope you enjoyed.